All right. Welcome to another edition of Shabbat Lounge. This is Matt.
And Jake here.
And we're coming to you in the middle of a series, and this one is called Human Seed War.
That's right. Versus the Plant Seed War, which took place a long time ago. I think Attack of the Killer Tomatoes was part of that.
Maybe if you say so.
Yeah. So this is part 4, and this is going to be about the Phoenicians. If you haven't seen the first 3 parts, watch those first. Again, as always, go check out sabbathlounge.com for all of your study needs. There's Torah portions on there and a bunch of different series that we've done, apologetic stuff and interviews and the like. So like and subscribe and share it with your friends. If you're, excited to get this content, then someone else probably is too. So
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Good. All right. Well, we're glad you're here, and we certainly appreciate all of our faithful followers that show up in our comments on a regular basis, and we always look forward to seeing that and interacting with you. And we try to post these on Shabbat about 9 a.m. If you were to miss this, that Jake and I do have crazy busy lives and have crazy families and doing all kinds of things, and things happen, and we work a lot, and so sometimes we miss a few, but we try to be there on Shabbats.
Right.
And we try to be in the comments, and we'll interact with you there. So we look forward to that, and we look forward to questions, comments, criticisms. We're not afraid of criticism. We don't claim to have everything figured out by any means. In fact, I would say run away from people who say they have it all figured out, because they don't.
Right.
So anyway, but we're glad you're here. We appreciate the time that you spend with us today. So this is the last part of the series, and this whole series is going to be found on sabbathlounge.com. It will be found as well as a PDF. There are links to the sources that we talk about in cite here. We tried to do diligence and cite the sources.
Right. And then it'll be a playlist as well that you could listen to in YouTube and things like that.
Yeah, back to back. So this is part 4, the Phoenicians. And so we've been talking about this seed war, and basically there's this idea that we started with, that the people that are enemies at the beginning of the book are connected to the people who are enemies at the end of the book in Revelation. So that's kind of part of what we're exploring, and we're exploring the prophecies of Tyre in Egypt, and have those already expired? Or are they yet to come? So we want you to let us know what you think after all of this. Feel free to agree or disagree. So here we go. All right. So who are the Phoenicians?
Yeah. Who cares, Matt?
That's right. So, and interesting enough, if you look at this, it kind of looks like a carved figurine, maybe with a fish on its head. So
like a Dagon situation.
Yeah. And so, they were the dominant sailors back in the day. So they dominated the world from 1200 to 800 BCE. They traded worldwide, and it is possible. Some people theorize that they explored the Americans. They gave Europe an alphabet. So, the alphabet gets credit there, and it's definitely rabbit trails you can chase about the Phoenicians, and did they come to the United States? I think it's possible. I think that one reason that you don't see and hear that kind of talk is because it goes against evolutionary model, and evolution needs lots of time on your side for these events and these things, and
right. Through the magic of time, anything can happen.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. You give it enough time, and so anyway, it doesn't fit all their narratives. I think what it doesn't fit is that you could have these advanced civilizations, because we're supposed to be evolving,
right,
and getting smarter. So it doesn't really fit that agenda of that we were super smart and could do this, and now we can't even find our way home
unless the phone tells us.
Yes, without Mama Google telling us what to do.
Mama Google.
So So raise your hand if you've ever had to put directions in your phone that you should know how to get there. And I have. And in fact, my wife's been like, why are you putting that in the phone? I was like, oh, because it just tells me where to go. So anyway, I think you make an argument we're getting dumber through time.
Seems like it. This fish also looks like maybe a fish from Mario or like a boat
maybe.
plane.
Boat plane, uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's Howard Hughes, the blue spruce.
There you go. The spruce goose.
Yeah,
that's
spruce goose. See my aviation knowledge housed in a big museum in Washington, I think. So
I believe so.
Yeah. All right. So the Phoenicians, the city of Tyre was a Phoenician city. They are seafaring traders and merchants. All the major world players traded with them. So they are very much intermingled with the world. Everybody dealt with them.
Right. And yep. City, obviously Tyre was an island, but so they would be keen on being seafarers.
Yeah, it would lend itself with being an island. So, and back in the day, if you are the king of trade like that, you know, it was so important because it's not like today. I mean, it is like today. You know, they were like the Costco of the day. You know, they brought the goods, and if you wanted something, you knew these guys could get it, and you know, they had the connections. And you know, it is unlike today where we can conveniently go to the grocery store, to the convenience store, and get all kinds of things that would just be unheard of back in these days for you to get so accessibly. But the Phoenicians were kind of like that to the world. You know, they made it possible for people to trade all over.
I wonder how many times they had a run on toilet paper.
Probably none. So
interesting.
What did they use for toilet paper? I don't know.
Exactly.
All right. So they traded wood, cloth. There you go.
Dyes.
Yes.
Embroideries, wine, decorative objects, ivory, wood. Wood carving became their specialties, and the work of the Phoenician metalsmiths was well known. So they were not just, they didn't just have material goods, they also had skills.
Yeah, they had some skilled labor, and yeah.
The wood carving thing, you might remember from the last episode, we talked about Hiram as the king of Tyre providing wood for Solomon's temple.
Yeah, and I also think it's something interesting when you study the Phoenicians. I think sometimes, I guess we call them the historians and archaeologists and anthropologists, sometimes maybe misattribute things that are actually connected to the Hebrews and the Paleo Hebrew, because the Hebrews and the Phoenicians did live side by side. And we know this from the Torah and, you know, the you know, yeah. And then the book of Joshua, you see that they're cohabitating in the same kind of space here. So it makes sense that they would share culture and some things. And unfortunately for the Israelites, it was usually not good culture sharing. It was made of bad things. So, but when you look at the Phoenician alphabet and you put it side by side with the Paleo Hebrew alphabet, you see lots of similarities. And so I think what I'm getting at is, and so if you study and you've seen some people that talk about the Phoenicians have the first language. Well, I believe that is incorrect. And so that kind of goes against what my history professors said, and because they would tell you that the Phoenicians had the first language. Well, I believe that it's the Hebrews that have the first language, and the Phoenicians kind of steal it, and they end up getting credit for that alphabet and that. But really, I believe it's Yah that created all of that, and it kind of got stolen. Now, once again, something he made got hijacked and stolen.
Right.
So anyway, that's a whole nother.
I think there's one thing missing on this list, though, that the Phoenicians were mostly known for is their blinds, the Phoenician blinds.
Yes. So, I've had a few of those.
Yeah.
So I hear cats like them.
Yeah.
So they are Canaanites. They get their name from the following. The Canaanites who inhabited that area were called Phoenicians by the Greeks, from the Greek word phenos, meaning red, in reference to the unique purple dye the Phoenicians produced from the Murek seashells.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that the word comes from meaning red. They were Canaanites, which is descendants of Esau, which is red. He red and hairy, right?
Yeah.
So I think that connection is kind of interesting.
And you can see these are cited here, and this is source 26. And so you should be able to click on the link, and also in the YouTube description, all these sources are listed there below.
All right. Revelation 17 and 18 and Daniel 11 also describe the end times power using terms associated with the Phoenicians in other Old Testament texts, such as the ships of Chittim. So then Revelation 17:1, and there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
And you got the 7 vials of judgment. So starting to make connections between what we see in Revelation. Hopefully.
And then continuing, go ahead.
With whom the kings of earth have committed fornication, and inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So definitely you're seeing some connections here with being drunk. We saw that earlier in part 3. And what else was there, Jake?
The scarlet is the red of the Phoenicians, maybe, and then the 7 heads, the 7 nations that we talked about,
and then also the fornication piece.
Right.
There seems to be this whoredom connection. So
the fornication piece.
The fornication.
That's
piece.
Right.
That's right. But the 7 heads definitely seem to be, in my humble opinion, it makes sense that they could be connected to those 7 kingdoms. And it goes all the way back to our very beginning of the discussion about these 7 kingdoms are probably connected to 7 fallen angels that have the jurisdiction of those areas. And that's why they continue to be such hatred, because, the people that control them at the top are fallen. And anyway, so all kind of interesting.
All right. Continuing. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And this lady's got a big forehead.
Yes, it's a big forehead. I wonder if she shaved that forehead.
She must have shaved that forehead, yeah.
She had to shave it because it was like a walking billboard. And I think she's probably somebody that would be shaving it, according to this, yeah. She's not a good lady here.
No.
Not one you bring home to meet your mom.
Right. So again, you got the scarlet, the purple, the abominations and filthiness of fornication, and so it seems to tie in.
Yeah.
It's a Mystery Babylon, connection there too.
Yeah. And so this is just, I think it's just pretty much the same. It's just all
this is the same
here.
thing, made in a beautiful way.
Yes. So we won't rehash that because it's just the same thing. And then Revelation 18:11-16, the merchants of the earth cry and mourn over her, because no one buys her cargo anymore. No one buys the cargo of gold, silver, gems, pearls, fine linen, purple cloth, silk, bright red cloth, all kinds of citron wood, articles made of ivory and very costly wood, bronze, iron, marble, cinnamon, spices, incense, perfume, frankincense, wine, olive oil, flour, wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, wagons, slaves. That is humans. The
slaves isn't funny.
No, it's not. The fruit you craved is gone. All your luxuries and all your splendor have disappeared. No one will ever find them again. Frightened by her torture, the merchants who had become rich by selling these things will stand far away. They will cry and mourn, saying, how horrible for the important city, which was wearing fine linen, purple clothes, bright red clothes, gold jewelry, gems, and pearls. So yeah, tons of things with all this, and it goes back to what we just talked about in part 3 about the Phoenicians. We talked about that just a minute ago too, but the Phoenicians and how they traded with people, and it does, and they had cargo, and so it does seem to be connected to this idea.
Yeah, and a lot of these items were listed earlier, so.
Yeah, and these are the kinds of things you would trade.
Yes.
In fact, they one of these trade routes they called the Silk Road.
I wonder what the tariffs were like there.
Bad.
Bad. Ezekiel 26:15-36. This is what Adonai Yahweh says to Tyre. The people who live on the coast will shake with fear when they hear about your defeat. They will groan when your people are wounded and slaughtered. Then the princes from the coast will come down from their thrones. They will remove their robes and take off their embroidered cloths, or clothes, as some say. Dressed in terror, they will sit on the ground. They will tremble constantly and be shocked at you. Then they will sing this funeral song for you. Tyre, you famous city, you have been destroyed. You have been shattered by the sea. You and your people ruled the sea. All your people terrified those who lived by the coast. Your defeat will make the people who live by the coast tremble. Your ends will terrify the islands in the sea. This is what Adonai Yahweh says. I will turn your city into ruins, like cities that have no one living in them. I will bring the deep ocean over you, and the Mediterranean Sea will cover you. I will bring you down with those who descend to the grave to join the people of long ago. I will make you live below the earth among the ancient ruins with those who go down in the grave. You will never return or take your place in the land of the living.
And so this is one of those scriptures where it kind of starts for me about, has this happened? Because, there is a city today on the map of Tyre. And according to this, that it will be covered by the sea. And, which implies to me you will never see it again. So that's kind of the question. And so part of me, I can see both sides of it. But it does seem to me that, there's still a city named Tyre, but it's not exactly in the same place. But I'm not quite sure if this has been fulfilled or not.
Yeah. So if you look at the previous episode we did showing how Alexander made the causeway out to Tyre, that was the area that historically is known as Tyre. But you're saying there's a different place now called Tyre.
There's a modern city named Tyre, and it's just,
but it's not that,
not exactly in the same location
area,
but just a little bit over.
Okay, so
pretty close on the map.
Yeah, so I think.
So I don't know.
But if we know where the original one was, then we would still have to say it needed to be covered over, unless I guess you'd have to say that the historical references to Tyre and Alexander would have to be illegitimate. And then I guess that would be where you'd have to go with it.
Well, no, I mean, I think you can make a case that Alexander, when he chunks the pieces of the city into the ocean, he does this, Well,
he's kind of coming from mainland, though.
Yeah.
Right?
But it is a version of doing this when you take the ancient ruins from the previous destruction and you throw it into the sea, but then you stack it up and it becomes a new pathway. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you can go to this island and walk on it. So I'm like, has it covered under the ocean? I don't think it is.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be.
But parts of it have. So, I don't know. Definitely interesting. And that's kind of what started me on this quest, is trying to figure out if this has already happened, or is this a prophecy to come, or is it a combination of both? Maybe that's what it is.
I think then they will sing this funeral song for you, a funeral song is pretty much like that's the end of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did see there is the the return after 70 years, but this appears to be after that fact.
Yeah, so if you just Google City of Tyre today, and should I show this? I mean, so
it's that little belly button sticking out in your
yeah,
maps.
yeah. So I mean, I'm looking at it right there. It's in Lebanon, and you can go see these places, and you can see it right there. So
supposedly,
mm-hmm.
anyone could have drawn that, Matt.
Anybody, and that was NASA. Yeah. So there you go.
See.
So, but definitely, on this map, there's a place that they're calling Tyre. So that makes me think that if there's still a place on the map called Tyre, then
that we can link to historically as being called Tyre, because I mean, I could make a town called Tyre in Texas. Doesn't make it the same thing, but
that's right.
This kind of fits all the other historical details about it, though.
Yeah, and it looks like a pretty place. So it is in the southern end of the country. So anyway, like I said, we don't claim to know all of the things, but it is interesting. So here, that's another good picture of it there in black and white, where you can kind of see. So yeah.
And for a little over $1,000, you could fly out there.
Yeah, cheap. What's $1,000 between friends? All right, so back to this.
All right.
So let's make sure we are.
Go left to go right, Matt.
That's right.
Perfect.
2 lefts make a right. And put in the comments if you know that was a Christian artist that had that as an album. So.
All right, now we're into Ezekiel 27. Yahweh spoke his word to me. He said, "Son of man, sing a funeral song about Tyre. Tyre is the city at the entrance to the sea. It is the merchant to the nations. Say to Tyre, this is what Adonai Yahweh says. Tyre, you used to brag about your perfect beauty. Your home is the sea. Your builders made your beauty perfect. Your builders made all your boards from pine trees on Mount Hermon. They took cedar trees from Lebanon to make a mast for you. They made your oars from oaks in Bashan. They made you deck from pine trees on the shores of Cyprus. It had ivory set in it. Your sails were made out of fine embroidered linen from Egypt. They were like your flags. Your awnings were violet and purple. They came from the coast of Elisha. People from Sidon and Arvad used to row you. Your own skilled people were your sailors."
Okay. Check, I hope we're recording. So I don't know. It normally is like red over here for me. So
okay, well, I too hope we're recording.
It does say right here, recording.
Okay.
Right.
Then I will believe it.
So okay. All right. So hopefully this is going. So in case it isn't, I'm going to also record here.
All right.
So, and we would just have to redo it a little bit. Okay. So moving right along. Ezekiel 27, 9 through 36, master shipbuilders from Jebel went inside you to caulk your seams. All the ships on the sea and their sailors docked alongside you. You trade with you. People from Persia, Lud, Put were soldiers in your army. They hung their shields and helmets inside you. Their victories made you look good. People from Arvad, Hecheh were guards around your walls. People from Gamard guarded your towers. They hung their shields all around your walls, making your beauty perfect. People from Tarshish traded with you because you are so very rich, as Donald Trump would say. They exchanged silver, iron, tin, and lead for your merchandise. People of Greece, Tubal, Meshech traded with you. Ding, ding. Those should ring bells to other people we've talked about. They exchanged slaves and bronze items for you, for your goods. People from Beth Tokumar exchanged horses, war horses, mules for your merchandise. People from Dedan traded goods with you. You traded with many people on the coast, and they brought you ivory and ebony as payment. Ebony and
Ooh,
ivory.
so it was a lot of like concerts, probably
Yes.
like very
Yes,
personalized.
on the piano. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're in cahoots with all these places.
Yep.
And then continuing on, verse 16, people from Syria traded with you because you had so many products. The most products, the best products. They exchanged emeralds, purple cloth, richly woven cloth, linen, coral, and rubies for your merchandise. Judah and Israel traded with you. They exchanged wheat from Minnith, baked goods, honey, olive oil, and balsam for your goods. People from Damascus traded with you because you had so many products. They exchanged wine from Helbon and wool from Sahar. Danites and Greeks from Uzal traded for your merchandise. They exchanged wrought iron cassia and sugar cane for your goods. Dedan traded saddle blankets with you. Arabia and all the officials of Kedar traded with you. They traded lambs, rams, and male goats. The merchants from Sheba and Ramah traded with you. They traded the finest spices, precious stones, and gold for your merchandise. Haran, Cana, Eden, the merchants from Sheba, Assyria, and Kilmad traded with you. In your marketplace, they traded for beautiful clothes, purple robes, embroidered cloth, and many multicolored rugs with woven and twisted cords. Ships from Tarshish carried your goods. You were like a ship filled with heavy cargo in the sea. Your rowers took you out to the high seas, and an east wind wrecked you in the sea.
Once again, we're seeing lots of theme of all these people trading all this stuff. And some of these names, as we mentioned in the last few, there was Tubal Cain, I believe, that we read one of these, and definitely connections back to some of those people that we started this series with. Continuing your wealth, your merchandise, the goods you sell, your mariners and your sailors, your caulkers and your merchants, your soldiers, and everyone else on board sank into the sea when your ship was wrecked. When your sailors cried out, people on the shore trembled. All the rowers, the sailors, all the mariners came down from their ships and stood on the shore. They cried loudly and bitterly over you. They put dust on their heads and covered themselves with ashes. They shaved their heads because of you, put on sackcloth. They cried over you with bitterness and with bitter mourning. I think we've seen that before, where the people are sad over the loss of the merchants. Is that not in Revelation?
Yes.
There's something very similar to this.
Yeah, think how crazy that seems to just go out on a boat, a rowboat, into the ocean.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff going on out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, the boats were bigger than your typical kayak, but...
Yeah, and it wasn't like one person in there rowing.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All right. Let's see. Continuing on, verse 31, they shaved their heads because of you and put on sackcloth. They cried over you with bitterness and with bitter mourning. They sang a funeral song for you with loud crying. Who is like Tyre, the city destroyed in the sea? Your merchandise was sent overseas. You filled many people with your great wealth and your goods. You made the kings of the earth rich. Now you are wrecked in the sea, at the bottom of the sea. Your goods and your whole crew sank with you. All those who live on the coast are horrified because of you. Their kings are terribly afraid. Their faces show their fear. The merchants among the nations laugh at you. You have come to a terrible end, and you will never exist again.
And see, that's the part that gets me, is then 36, you will never exist again. And like I said, we just looked it up, and there's a place called Tyre today.
So, now, they aren't necessarily today known as, a trading hub of the world like they were then. They're kind of just there, it seems.
It's probably more tourism today. Definitely part of what they do. Hosea 9:13, I have seen Ephraim like Tyre, planted in a pleasant place, but the people of Ephraim will bring out their children to be killed. Does not seem like a good thing.
Nope. Joel 3. Yahweh will rescue his people in those days, and at that time I will bring back the captives of Judah and Jerusalem. I will gather all the nations. I will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. I will judge them there. They scattered the Israelites, the people who belong to me, among the nations. They divided my land. They threw dice for my people. They traded boys for prostitutes. They sold girls so that they could buy wine to drink.
And here you go. You have that line that I think is super important. They divided my land. So it wasn't theirs to divide, and that goes back to that original discussion that these folks set up and camped on land that wasn't theirs to begin with. It's like they heard that he wanted to give it to them. They're like, "Hey, let's go over there. We're going to occupy this. We're going to make this really hard." And so that's where the fight and the seed war begins, and that does anger him, and you see it here. Now, what do you have against me, Tyre and Sidon, and all the regions of Philistia? Are you paying me back for something I've done? If you're paying me back, I will quickly pay you back for what you've done. You took my silver and my gold. You brought my finest treasures to your temples. You sold the people of Judah and Jerusalem to the Greeks. That way you could send them far away from their land. I'm going to make them leave the place where you sold them. I will pay you back for what you've done. I will sell your sons, your daughters to the people of Judah. They will sell them to the people of Sheba, a nation that is far away. Yahweh has spoken.
Spoken indeed. Okay, announce this among the nations. Prepare yourselves for war. Wake up the warriors. Have all the warriors come near and attack. Hammer your plow blades into swords and your pruning shears into spears. Weaklings should say that they are warriors. Hurry from every direction and gather there, all you nations. O Yahweh, bring your soldiers. Wake up, you nations. Come to the valley of Jehoshaphat. There I will sit to judge all the surrounding nations. Yeah, you kind of you fight with the soldiers you have, not with the soldiers you wish you had, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of the opposite too of end times. Here they're, one of the things that comes up is, so here they're hammering their plow blades into swords, but later we see them doing the reverse and pounding their swords into plows. And at that point, there's no war after that time. So we know that hasn't happened yet because there's wars all over the place.
Yeah.
So, so that plays into it as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. And we continue, cut them down like grain. The harvest is ripe. Stomp on them as you would stomp on grapes. The winepress is full. The vats overflow. The nations are very wicked. There are many, many people in the valley of decision. The day of Yahweh is near. In the valley of decision, the sun and the moon will turn dark. The stars will no longer shine. Yahweh will roar from Zion. His voice will thunder from Jerusalem. The sky and the earth will shake. Yahweh will be a meshech for his people. He will be a stronghold for the people of Israel. So definitely this feels like something that hasn't been done. And you see this in Revelation about the wine press
turning dark.
Yeah, and the wine, the pressing of the wine and the blood flowing to the tops of the bridles.
Right.
It sounds all very similar to that, and then the darkness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the sky shaking, and the sky. That seems like people are going to notice.
All right. So we're in Joel 3, continuing on, 17. You will know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. I live on my holy mountain, Zion. Jerusalem will be holy. Foreigners will never invade it again. On that day, new wine will cover the mountains. Milk will flow on the hills. Water will flow in all the brooks of Judah. A spring will flow from Yahweh's temple. It will water the valley of Shittim. Egypt will become a wasteland. Edom will become a barren desert. This is because the nations were cruel to Judah. They murdered innocent people in their land. People will always live in Judah. People will live in Jerusalem from now on. I will punish those who murder. Yahweh lives in Zion. So so if this has happened, we should be able to go see Yahweh on the mountain of Zion, the holy mountain.
Yeah.
And let's see, what was the other one here? Oh, Egypt will become a wasteland. I think Egypt has a thriving city right now.
It seems to be thriving. I'm pretty sure if you look at it on Google Earth, there's around the Nile is pretty green and seems to be flourishing with life. So that comes back to does seem to be there's still is Egypt and Tyre.
Yeah, so there's still some things to happen yet.
Continues, Tyre will be punished. This will be the divine revelation about Tyre. Crowd loudly, you ships of Tarshish. Your port of Tyre is destroyed. Word has come to me that the ships of Cyprus be silent, your inhabitants of the coastland. Your merchants from Sidon, your messengers have crossed the sea. The grain of Shior is on the Mediterranean. The harvest of the Nile is brought to Tyre. Tyre became the marketplace for the nations. Be ashamed, Sidon, because your stronghold by the sea has spoken. I've never been in labor or given birth. I've raised no sons. I brought up no daughters. So it's interesting that Egypt and Tyre get connected here.
Yeah.
Very specifically.
All right, then we're going to jump to Amos 1, 9, and 10. This is what Yahweh says, because Tyre has committed 3 crimes, and now a 4th crime, I will not change my plans. The Tyrians have handed all the people over to the Edomites. The Tyrians didn't remember their treaty with their relatives. I will send a fire on the walls of Tyre and burn down its palaces. So, yeah, so he has these plans. He won't change his plans because they've committed these crimes. Yep. Interesting. Interesting that they're handed over to the Edomites.
Yeah, yeah. And who are the Edomites? Esau's
Sons
relatives.
of Edom.
Yeah, Esau's relatives.
Right.
So, yeah, so definitely interesting with that. And then Zechariah 9:2, and also Hamath, which borders on it, and Tyre Sidon, though they're very wise. So where does it leave us after all of this? Well, I think you can say the enemies of Yah that are present at the beginning of the book show up again at the end. And so that's kind of, you knew that's where we were going with it the whole time. And here we are.
Right. So we looked at a lot of prophecies speaking of specifically end times things. We looked in Revelation, Joel, Amos, things like that, clearly showing a final battle situation where Tyre is a main player. So
yeah, and seems to be a figurative thing as well. So and there seems to be a pattern in Scripture of this this merchant Tyre trading with all the merchants of the world, and then Whore of Babylon. There definitely is some connections with all that. Easy to see.
Right.
So then we started with Genesis 3:15. I will make you and the woman hostile toward each other. I will make your descendants and her descendants hostile towards each other. He will crush your head and you will bruise his heel. So that is kind of where the seed war starts and how it ends. So then once again, these are the sources listed out, 26 different sources. And, yes, I used some Wikipedia in there, and we know it's not perfect, but it is a source. It's a good place to start. So anyway, that's kind of where some of this information came from. And some of it also came from Gary Wayne, Genesis 6 Conspiracy, which is the 4th website in there. So anyway, we will publish this and make it available. There is Gary Wayne himself right there.
The man himself.
So if you want a good 1,000-page book to read, man, this is your friend. In fact, 2,000-page books if you read Volume 1 and Volume 2, which I have, and I highly recommend it. He does a very thorough job of going into some of these people groups and who they were and what their plan is against being Yah's enemy. So anyway, definitely an interesting study. And this comes to the end of Seed War and the Phoenicians, part 4.
Right. So, yeah, go check out make sure you check out every part and follow along with it. And hopefully that was a pretty, all-encompassing little study there for you to see kind of from the beginning to the end. And hopefully it flows well and you're able to follow along the thought process here.
Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And like I said, we'll make this public. The source list is also in the YouTube description. It's also on Sabbath Lounge website. It will also be on a page that we have called Teaching Series or something, and it will be in there. And you can look at the PDF download, click on the links, and do all that. We appreciate you liking, sharing, subscribing, and please feel free to leave a dissenting opinion. But we don't claim to be the expert on any of this, but and so we just want to try to point you to Scripture and point you to studying on your own.
That's right.
And I think that's it there. And hopefully this did record. I'm a little nervous. I got this little red sign up here that I'm seeing that, is the record symbol. But anyway.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Hopefully you can hear us.
Right.
So, all right. Well, this is Matt
and Jake
signing out.